Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back to Developer Maroof. In today's lesson, we'll learn about JavaScript modules, how to organize code into separate files using import and export. Modules helps us write maintainable, reusable code by splitting functionality into logical pieces. We'll cover named exports, default exports, mixed exports, different import patterns, and best practices for project structure. This is essential knowledge for building larger applications. Let's start coding. I've already created our index.html file and I have added our script.js file with the HTML. The important thing here is this type attribute. So this type equals module is required to use ES6 modules in the browser. So without type equals module, imports and exports won't work. So it is important to add that attribute to your script tag. So let's create our first module. I'll make a folder called modules, and inside it a file called utils.js. So first let's learn about named exports. So named exports allows us to export multiple items from a single file. We use the export keyword before each item. For example, first let's add a comment, named exports. Let's create a variable const pi, and the value of pi is 3.14159. Now, to make it a named export, we can just add a keyword export here. So the export keyword makes this constant available to other file. Like we export this variable from this file, and to use that, we will import that to another file where we want to use this variable. Let's add other named export. Let's say export const e equals 2.71828. So this is another named export. Now let's export some functions. Let's say export function. Let's say add a comma b. Inside that we can return a plus b. So you notice I have added export before the function. Let's add another function, export function subtract a comma b and return a minus b. This is another export function. Let's export multiplication function. Export function, let's say multiply a comma b. Inside return a, we should add asterisk, which is equals to multiplication b. Now let's export our divide function divide. Inside that a comma b. Inside we'll return a divided by b. If you want to add condition, you can add it. Let's say if b equals 0, then just throw new error. Let's say cannot divide by 0. Let's format our code. Okay, so this file exports 2 constants and 4 functions. Each one is a named export because we gave it a specific name like pi, e, add, subtract, multiply, divide. You can have as many named exports as you want in one file. Now, let's learn about default exports. A file can have only one default export. So let's create another module or file named, let's say, calculator.js. And let's add a comment, default export. So default export is used when a module has one main thing to export, like a class. Let me show you how you can export default. So first we will say export default. Let's export this class, and class name will be calculator. So you notice the export default. This is the main export of this file. Inside we can add anything. Let's add some methods. Let's say add a comma b. Inside we can return a plus b. Let's add another method, subtract a comma b. Inside we'll return a minus b. Then we have a multiply a comma b, and we can have return a asterisk b. Then we have a divide a comma b, and we can have a condition if b equals 0, then throw new error. Let's say cannot divide by 0, and we can return a divided by b. And last one, let's add a function power. So first parameter will be base, and second will be on. Inside we can return a math dot power, and we have a base and so on. If you don't know what is this math.pwo, you can check it out our previous lesson where we have covered all of these concepts, our functions, our classes, everything. You can just check it out our previous lessons. So named exports use just export, but the default exports use export default, and you can only have one default per file. Now here's something powerful. You can have both named exports and a default export in the same file. Let me show you that as well. Let's create another file named let's name it api.js, and you can see how I have structured our files. You should also always structure your files properly. So let's add a comment here, mixed exports, and let me show you how you can mix both named export and default exports. So we can add a named export first. Let's say export const api underscore base underscore url equals let's add anything. Let's say http //api dot any api example.com. So this is our named export. Let's add another named export, const api / underscore version equals, let's say, version 1. So this is also a named export. Now let's say export function, let's say build url. Inside we can pass endpoint, and then we can return our API base URL, then slash $, curly braces, our API version, and $, our endpoint. So these three are named exports. As you can see, I have added export keyword before them. Now let's add the default export. Let's say export default, our class, let's say API client. Let's have a constructor, our base URL. Let's make it equals to API base URL. Inside constructor, we have this dot base URL equals to base URL. Then we have methods. Let's say get method. We will pass endpoint here. Sorry, it's a get. Inside we can just add a log. Let's say this is a get request and $, this dot base URL. Then we can add our endpoint here, and we can return our object. Inside that we can have our URL. Let's say $, curly braces, this dot base URL. Then again we can add our endpoint, and inside the second parameter or the second property will be method. Sorry, method is get. The same way we can create multiple methods as well. Let's create a last one. Let's say post method. Our endpoint, because this is a post method, we should have a data, and this is post. And inside our second parameter we can console our data, and here we can change it to post, and here we can return our data as well. So this file has two named constants, one named function, and one default class, all in one file. So this is how you can mix the exports. So let's create a practical module, a validator file with all named exports. So here I'll add a new file named validators.js. Here we can add a comment, practical module, and let's create a named export. Function is email, and we can have email, and then inside that we can return our regex. So if you don't know what are the regex, don't worry about it, we will cover in our upcoming lessons. So for now, let me paste it for you. So this is our regex, which is a regular expression. So on this we can test our email if it's valid or not. We can have multiple named exports for validation. Let me write it for you. So I have created is phone to validate if the phone number is correct. I've created another named export which is required, and minLength, maxLength. So this is a real world module. You'd use this for form validation in your projects. Let's create one more module for local storage helper with default export. Let me show you another way to export default. Let's create a new file here. Let's name it storage.js. Let's say practical module, and name it local storage. We'll create a local storage functionality here, and for this let's name it validators. So here let's create a storage helper. Let's say const storage helper equals, and let's define some methods. Let me copy paste it for you. Okay, so I have created set, get, remove, clear methods. If you are following along with the lessons, you should know about local storage, what is set, what is get, what is remove, what is clear, because we have already covered local storage, session storage, cookie storage in our previous lessons. If you haven't watched it, check that out. So we have created storage helper. Now there's another way to export default this storage helper. You can just come here and say export default, and you can just add a name of that storage helper, or whatever you want to export, you can just add the name of it right here after default. So we can export at the bottom of the file, not just in line. This is a common pattern. Just create the check first, then export it at the end. Now the exciting part is our main script.js file, where we'll import everything. Let me come inside script.js. So this file is our entry point. The HTML loads this file because we have linked our script.js with our HTML file. and this file imports from all our modules. So first let's import our named imports or named exports. So first let's import our named exports. Let's add a comment, named, let's make it imports. So first you will say import curly braces. Inside these curly braces you can add your variable names or function names, whatever you have exported. Let me come inside utils. So I've exported this py, so you can import this py into our script.js. Just copy this name and paste it right here. So we have just import the py and comma, then we can import any other name. Let's say import this e, and let's import our add function. So we can import this as well. We can import subtract as well. We can import multiply, and we have the last one, divide. So we have imported all of these, and we should also mention we are importing these from which file, where they exist. So we should say from strings. Inside that we should add the root of that file. So in our case we have to see inside our folder, so we should add dot slash, which means inside this folder where our script.js file exists. So script.js file exists inside JavaScript lesson 26. So we are looking into our existing folder, dot slash. Inside that folder we have another folder called modules, so we will say modules, or you can just click it, and then again we should add slash. Inside that modules folder we have 5 files, so we should select utils because these variables are at our utils.js file. So to import them we should always use or add a correct route. We can also add .js. Always keep in mind, named imports always go inside the curly braces. The names must match what we have exported. Let's log each imported items to verify they work. So let's add some logs. We have py, let's add a colon, then py. You see we have py and its value. So this value is coming from our utils.js because we have imported that py inside our script.js file and we are using it right here. Same way you can log these as well. You can see we have e, its value is this. Add, if we add 5 and 3 we will get 8 because add is a function. So to use that function we should add brackets and pass our arguments here because the function is expecting some parameters a and b. A and b will be 5 and 3 and we are adding it, and the value is coming from here. We are returning 5 plus 3, which is 8. So that's how we are using the functions. We have subtract, 6, 42 and 5. So this is how you can import named exports. Now we can import our default exports. Let's add a comment. Let's say default imports, and here we will say import, and what we need to import, let's say I want to import this calculator. So because this is a default export, so we don't need to add any curly braces. We can only export one default per file. So we don't have multiple exports, so we just need to add directly the name of it here. In my case it's a calculator from dot slash modules slash calculator.js, this file. So from this file we are importing calculator, and from this calculator.js we are exporting this calculator and we are importing right here. We have another method which we mostly don't use to import default exports. Let me show you that as well for your knowledge. Let's say const calc equals new and your object name or anything you have exported by default. So in my case it's calculator. So this is how you can also import that calculator. If we use this to see the value of the calculator, let's suppose if we want to log the value of add, subtract, multiply, divide, power, you can just directly use the calc variable, or you can also use directly, but let me show you this way as well. So just say log and you can just add calc dot add, and you can add anything, let's say 10, 5, and let's comment these out. So you see we have 15 because we have added 10 and 5. 10 is A and 5 is B, and we are adding these two values with each other inside this calculator object or class. So same way you can console all of these if you want. See, we have 15. For subtract we have 5. For multiply we have 52 and 2, 5, 6. So create a new calculator instance and use it methods like this. So this way you can also get the values of the methods. And let's now see, let's first comment it out and let's see how you can import our mixed exports. Let's add a comment, mixed. This will be mixed imports because we have default and named both inside these files named. So we should say import. As I told you, if you import a default export, we should not add any curly braces. So if I import this API client, because it's a export default, so we can directly import it like this, API client. It's already suggesting me. You can just hit enter and it will automatically import your variable or function or anything. You can just hit enter and it will say import API client from .module/API.js because this exist inside our api.js file. So this is how you can import your default export, and we can import these named exports like as I told you inside our curly braces. Because we are importing both named and default export, we can just add a comma and add our named exports right here. So in this case, we have our API base URL, just add it right here, comma, and we have API version, let's add it, comma, we have our build URL, which is a function, and you can add it as well. So this is how you can import mixed exports. If you want to console it to see its value, let me do that for you to not make the video so long. Okay, so you can see we have our API base URL, which is this one, api.example.com, which is coming from here. And we have our API version, which is v1, our base URL, which is this one, v1/users, because we have pause/users inside this argument, and our client instance, and we are using the methods of this class. This is the same way as we did here. So we are using get method. So this is its results, and here we have our post and our client dot. So this is how you can import mixed exports. Let's comment it out. Let's comment this out as well. So we have an other way to import. Let me show you that as well. This is import with alias. So import with alias uses as to rename any keyword or any name. Let me show you that as well. Let's say import curly braces. Let's import our, sorry, this will be small import. Let's import from validators. Let's import this is email right here, comma, our is phone, comma, is required, comma, we have, let's see, minLength, maxLength. Let's see, maxLength. Okay, from our /modules/validators. So we use alias when we have naming conflicts or want clearer names. So let's suppose we want to rename this minLength. It will not rename right inside the validator.js, but it will only rename inside this file to use this minLength. Let's say after minLength, we can add as, and we can name it anything. Let's say hasMinLength. So I have renamed this minLength as hasMinLength. So whenever I want the value of minLength, I will use hasMinLength. So basically, I have renamed this minLength to hasMin. If you want to rename any, let's say, make it hasMaxLength. So I have renamed this as well. If you want to see the values of it, let me type consoles for you. You see, I have used is email, is phone, is required, and I have used hasMinLength, not minLength, because we have renamed it right here. And I have used hasMax, because we have renamed this maxLength to this. And you can see inside our console, we have our value. We have true, we have false, we have true, false, true, 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 because we are validating these inside these functions. So this is how you can import with alias. So we have another way to import things. Let's suppose if you want to import everything inside file. You don't want to add each names here. So what you can do is, you can do it like this. Let's first add a comment, import, let's say import all, comment these out, and come here to import all of the things inside a file. You can just add import and star sign or asterisk sign, and you can rename it as, let's say, as all validators, and from our ./module/validators. So we are importing everything from this. We have imported this. So whenever we want to use anything, you will just say all validators dot is email, and inside that you can add anything. Let me show you that inside console. If you come here, you see inside our logs we have modules. So we have is email, is phone, is required, all of the things inside this file. And we use all validators dot is email, which is a function inside this file. So we are using it directly right here, and this is its value. So this is how you can import everything inside from any file. So that's it for today's lesson. You just learned about JavaScript modules, import and export. We have created real separate files with real exports and imports. We have seen named exports for multiple items, default export for one main item, and you can mix both. We have learned named imports, default imports, aliases, names space import, which is this one where we are importing all of the things, and we have seen mixed imports. And I have shown you how you can organize your code with the separated files like this inside a proper folder structure. This is a very basic. We will modify our folder structure in upcoming lessons, or when we will be building our projects. So in the next lesson, we'll recap ES6 plus features, default parameters, optional chaining, and nullish coalition. If this helped you, like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone learning JavaScript. Jazakallahu khair for watching. Allah Hafiz.